One such leader had gone to the army saying he was under threat, was given armed escort. On the eve of the city election, that same person is torturing or threatening our councillor or councillor-elect for Lira City, a widow. This man comes there with an armed escort, which he got on the auspices that he was under threat, and he's threatening the UPC candidates. Do we call this an election? In Lira City, I have never seen the sort of deployment which I saw in this election. I don't know if people saw the footages. You find a single file of maybe 2,000 people, 2 kilometers, walking around the city. But there were things which are happening behind the scenes. I distributed letters for agents on the night before. When you moved around the city, you found these people, of course, the ones on foot on patrol. Then I found 2 company strength units on motorcycles, and plus 2 gangs on motorcycles with sticks and moving around. Some of these were threatening our leaders. Some of our leaders were not in their homes. I distributed, I saw what was on the street, and I knew this did not augur well. Election day, the failure of the BVVK machines left us all in confusion. In Lira City, our agents were chased from the Electoral Commission stores at 6:45 in the morning. In other words, I lost sight of all the voting material at 6:45 in the morning. They did not appear in many of the polling stations until after 2 p.m. As we investigated where they were and what was happening, there were many things we came across, which I must state clearly, my views at the end of an election is the people who must be the winners. And you see it in their attitude, celebration, satisfaction. The process of election, we debate ideas, we debate issues of where the problems of Uganda are or where the issues are. And hopefully, it is well expressed at the end. What took place was, at least in Lira, this result of Lira is the army, decision of the army, not the decision of the voters. And in some of these issues, I must thank God. I thank God for small mercies, because I can say this clearly without any fear of contradiction. After what took place in Lira City, there is no way anywhere under the sun that Yoweri Museveni can continue talking about Milton Obote and the 1980 elections. It's not possible. You cannot have it on the same plane. You go to that extent of rigging. The army took over the whole place. We don't have any idea where the material was. And this was the excuse for going to the bush. Elections were rigged. Army involvement. Honestly. 2026, I think we have cleared that one once and for all. And I hope for all eternity now, we're not going to keep having this story that Obote rigged 1980, Obote rigged 1980. It is nonsense. What we saw in 2026 across board, don't try to bring that one, ever. And this one I must thank the CDF for his rash and careless attitude on handling matters which could be sensitive. He thought he's finishing Akena. He has given Akena a lifeline, and he has put Yoweri Museveni in a position where he will have to get out of this one, but not with the name of Obote. Obote's name must be clean now. We're dealing with issues of 2026. Obote was not there. The other issue which I must raise about the CDF, and I think here in Uganda people are a bit scared to touch on this issue. The office you hold is a very high office. And the fact that you are son of a president, you must also watch your words and your actions. The sort of attitude and the sort of statements which have been coming out of the office of the CDF is an embarrassment to all of us as Ugandans. I must put this one clear on record. It's an embarrassment. How can you talk about torturing or killing a person who stood in a presidential election and had a backing of over 2 million Ugandans according to the Electoral Commission? A leader of a party which has representation in the parliament of Uganda, the leading party in Uganda, and you want to treat it like, or treat the leader like some sort of punk? Honestly, what's happening in Uganda? Let's be honest with ourselves. What are we doing or what are we saying? If nobody is going to do so, I am the one who's going to call out you, Muhoozi. Please, grow up. Grow up. The responsibility which you want to assume as the President of the Republic, you cannot be behaving like this. You cannot. As Ugandans, we cannot be having this sort of issue. We cannot be in a situation whereby we're going to expect anybody who disagrees, we're going to face a firing squad, or you're going to be put in a basement, you're going to be taught some language you don't know. That should not be happening in Uganda, not in 2026. Not on the question of where we talk about democracy, elections. And here I must also go further, that those surrounding the power centers, what you're going to reap on what you're putting Uganda into, I put Uganda in the hands of God. Because people have an attitude that the resources belong to a political party. They don't. I come from the train of thought that the resources of Uganda are for all the people of Uganda. The government of the day is the one to administrate on behalf of every citizen. What is our national motto? For God? Whose country? No. Individually, you must say, my country. Now, if the resources of your country, my country, are being misused, they're being treated as if they belong to a political party, they're being used to undermine the democracy, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to be cheering? Not me. As somebody who comes from a political point of view, that the resources of Uganda are for all the citizens of Uganda, irrespective. It's not for UPC, it's not for NRM, it's for every citizen. The services are for every citizen. And there are people who are treating it like their own personal resources. Doing favors for friends. Let's do things for Uganda. At the end of this election, Uganda should be the winner. Not some people self-aggrandizing or positioning themselves thinking that 2031 is their cup of tea. No. I am not going to be quiet if you think that you're going to loot and turn this country into your own public purse. It will not happen. There are some of us who live for Uganda, who believe in Uganda, and we will not be silent if you think you can turn Uganda into your own personal issue. It will not happen. All of us as citizens have a stake in this Uganda. And some of us are ready to speak the truth to power, irrespective, without fear or favor. I went into this election with a clear plan of how we can improve the livelihoods of the citizens of Uganda. That was supposed to be the debate. I ended up being tied, one hand tied behind my back. I'm fighting with one hand tied behind my back. And despite that one, we're still able to show some results. Yes, I was under house arrest. Did I run away? No, I ran to where I was needed. I escaped where I was and I went to where I was needed. I went to the tally center because they were trying to rig. We stopped the issue of false declaration time and time again. The whole night I stopped the false declaration. I was not in a state to be there. I would have been in bed. That's why I said where people prefer to tweet, I was in bed. But when they were trying to steal this vote in a jury, I had to get out of bed and defend it with everything I had. It's defending on the goal line. But I did it not only in a jury, I did it in Lira. I did it in Apache. I did it in Kwania. And that is an election, 2026. That's why I said people should not talk about Obote in future. Yoweri Museveni, because of Muhoozi, should not have any opportunity to bring any dirt on the name of Milton Obote. As far as the election is concerned, he cannot. Muhoozi has cleared Obote's name properly once and for all. So am I going to exile? No. If they want to put me in the ground, I have told my people, bury me at the feet of my father. But am I going to exile? No. Am I going to be quiet? No. Am I going to speak the truth? Yes. I have no apologies for the truth. Whatever you do, however much you try, a lie will never be the truth. It will never, whatever you say, do, however long you wait, a lie will never be the truth. Even if I die today, the truth will remain. I don't fear it. The truth will remain, the truth will prevail. But I don't want a Uganda where we're going to be treated like some sort of, I don't know. Is this some sort of dictatorship which is unmasked? If you're going to be a dictator, you come out openly now. But don't start threatening behind offices and whatever. Actually, I honestly feel sorry for the president in this circumstance. In the case that he has been a general, he has been a hero to Muhoozi. But he has to be a dad at some point. Right now, Muhoozi needs a dad who can tell him the truth, to behave like a human being.